You know, years ago, main events, you know, you didn't have nearly as much play as you do today. But when I look up at the board and I see the average stack and the big blinds, it's really inspiring because it means that, you know, poker's being played. It's not just an all-in shove fest. There's a lot of thinking going on. And as you can see, even the short stack, Cliff Josephy, seeing flops, calling on flops in spots where, you know, if they were shorter, he would have been all in already.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes we get the dynamic in a main event where it takes a long time to get to the final table, and by the time we bring the final 6 players to the main stage, they are pretty short. Maybe the average stack is only 40 big blinds. But in this particular tournament, it was very fast-paced, getting us down to the final 2 tables. Pretty quick yesterday to get down to 6. And that means there's a lot of play in it when it really matters.
Sure.
When all the money is on the line, when you've got these huge pay jumps between 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st.
Absolutely. So this is pretty standard play from Christian Harder as a chip leader. He's going to raise with a lot worse hands than a pair of 6s. 6s would consider to be a good hand. He might even be able to call. Well, actually, nobody's that short where he'd want to really get re-raised and call a shove. So in the big blind, 8-4 suited. A lot of people go, what? That's not a good hand. But a lot of people have learned over the last 10 years that when you have a big blind in and there's antes, if you're up against min raises or small raises, you're supposed to play a lot of hands. Which is why, frankly, we're seeing in the high rollers sort of a turn back to the old school, where the raise sizes are back to like 2.7, 2.5 and above, because people are starting to defend correctly. Great flop for Christian Harder. 3-6s, wow. He's not going to get any action, though. You know, that wouldn't be a terrible spot to check, frankly, if you're Christian Harder. Obviously, you're hoping to bet to get check raised, but, you know, if your opponent has a king, you're going to get value anyway. What you'd like to have happen is if he does have 10-8 or 10-9, let him make a pair. He can't win anyway, so I think if I was Christian there, I want to throw some checks in. Maybe he does sometimes. I would have probably liked to see a check, maybe. As fishy as that may look.
Yeah, I guess if ever there's a time to feel invincible, then flopping the 6-6.
On a king 6-2's rainbow
yeah.
flop.
Yeah, that's about as safe as it gets.
Yeah, if your opponent does have, you know, queen jack or something like that, you want him to flop something, turn something. But betting is never, you know, again, like, you can look at situations saying the only mistake there would have been him just folding, right? Like,
yeah.
I fold. But betting is fine, checking is fine, and that's what makes poker interesting, is that there's not just one rule in terms of there's only one profitable way to play a hand. Again, he's coming in with a6 suited. Totally standard now for him to use his chip advantage to push the envelope a little bit, put some pressure on his opponents who may be trying to ladder up the pay scale.
Raise and take it.
Easy peasy.
I mean, it's hard to defend against a guy who, you know, like, has enough chips to play with you, so you don't want to make it's a move that's too silly and take yourself out of moving up the prize pool. Right now, we see Michael Vella and Cliff Josephy basically tied in terms of big blinds right now with 27. That's still a decent-sized stack.
This is the second time Christian Harder has made the final table of the main event here in the Bahamas. He's close friends with Tony Gregg, who, of course, has finaled this event 3 times and finished second twice.
A couple of the good kids in poker. There's a lot of really great young kids in the game today. Call them, you know, young ambassadors, if you will. They're doing a lot to try to promote the game on social media, on Twitch. Of course, we have, you know, Jason Somerville and Jamie Staples on our Twitch, and then of course the blogs, the Jake Cody blogs are really, really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, a sort of a
Really
real deep look into what it's like to be a professional poker player. I think people will find those interesting. You can find those on Jake Cody YouTube, I believe. The world has changed. Right?
That is very true, Daniel.
So these cards are not good. 4 and a 3 offsuit. So he's raising to 215, trying to go right at the heart of Christian Harder.
It's really strange. It's really hard to get a handle on Michael Vella. Sometimes he limps in with junk, limps in with big hands. And now this. I don't know if we've seen much of this.
And I don't mind that. If that's what he's been doing, there's some merit to, like, you know, mixing up your play where you're dancing a little bit. 4-3 offsuit may not be the best kind of a hand to do this with, but we'll see what Harder does.
I guess he's just got an impossible position with Christian sitting to his left. It's like, well,
Sure.
how tight can you be? How creative do you...
The problem with raising is that, look, so Christian's calling almost always. Now, instead of that, he's actually 3-betting. He's putting the pedal to the metal.
I'm going to find out what that hand is, right?
I mean, that's the thing is, what I mean, it is. I know it's just a horrible spot for Michael. Is whatever you do, you've just got this mountain to get through.
Well, as you know, he called him a bully, and he's right. You know, Christian is bullying him a little bit because he's got the chips to do so.
Like the ball forever. I know you saw that.
Definitely in command, Christian Harder. That's 3 in a row, I believe.
You weren't kidding me.
And there's just no reason for Christian to not do that every single time. There's just going to be no joy for Michael when it gets blind on blind.
I wouldn't say that's the strategy I would employ, is to do that every single time, because then you become just too exploitable.
really
Everyone knows, okay, well,
card.
he can't have it every time.
I guess so, but I mean, when it's been folded around, it's just blind on blind against Michael. I guess the one time you get it wrong compared to how many times you're going to get it right. You know, how
I'll tell
strong-
you what, if I was coaching Christian, what I would tell him to do against him is call,
Alright, now we're
not
doing
re-raise.
that shit.
Call and see flops because you're going to have position throughout, and there's a good chance, since you're a professional player, you'll be able to
Yeah,
outmaneuver him and gain value that way, and it's also safer.
Yeah.
You know? I guess with a hand like 8 deuce, it doesn't really play well post flop, so 3-betting's fine. One of the things I learned when I was being coached by Tom Marchese for a little bit is how the importance of being, what's the word is called, polarized when you 3-bet. So either you're really, really good stuff or you're really, really bad stuff.
Right.
And then the stuff in the middle, those are hands you can just see a flop with.
Yeah, the stuff you know is just going to be no good after the flop. That's when to start putting the foot down.
Even a hand like ace-4 offsuit, that's not easy to play post-flop. Oh, ace-deuce is when you flop deuce-deuce-7.
Man, run better, why don't you, Christian? Wow.
We got a flush draw now.
Yeah, it goes from 3% to 16%. A little bit of instinct.
Fireworks. He's checked again, so Christian's laying the trap twice now. Check the flop and the turn. And I would imagine he's going to get a bet here from Opalikin. Just a small bet.
210,000 in the middle. Doesn't sound like much in the way of chips.
I mean, this is a spot where Christian just got to decide, like, should I raise now or should I let this guy try to bluff one more time? If he knew what he was up against in a flush draw, he'd raise. But what are the odds he has a flush draw and the flop is deuce-deuce-7 and then a club on the turn? It's not a very likely hand for Opalikin to have. So he is going to raise. So tough decision now for Opalikin. He's like, okay, well, what am I up against here? If I hit my flush, is that going to be even good? You know, is my opponent full already with queen deuce? Tough spot when you're drawing to a flush and there's a paired board because you could hit it and still not win. This is a hand that Opalikin can turn into a bluff potentially and say, listen, I've got a deuce, I'm going to re-raise you, but like, Christian actually has one. And it's never a good idea to try to represent the hand that your opponent has.
Right, make a note of that at home, everyone. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the big ones. Let's remember that.
I did that in the 100K. Yeah, I was like, ooh, he'll think I have 9-10 here. I'm all in for the nut straight. And he had the nut straight. So, good hand, David Peters.
Well,
see, that's an interesting situation where he bet the turn with the draw, right? He could have taken the free card. A lot of people might be thinking like, wow, why didn't he just check back? Well, you want to be aggressive in these spots, and you get check raised there, it's rarely going to be a bluff, so tough spot for him.
Christian Harder is closing in on the 8 million mark. He's up 2 million on the day. Opalikin also on a major upswing. The same cannot be said for Michael Gently, though, down nearly 3 million chips. And everyone else has added to their stack. Only one elimination so far. Rasmus Claesel went during the first level.
Just ganging up on the Canadian, huh? Everybody winning and he's losing since the last check-in.
Canadian won last year. We like to send the trophy down to different parts of the world.
Yeah. So now this is a hand that's fine to raise with when you're playing 5-handed. It plays relatively well post-flop. It's not the best hand in the deck. You don't obviously want to be 3-bet. But if you're in late position and you have this hand, you should be raising. You should be opening. This is a tough one. Really tough one to play in the small blind. Small pairs, right? You call. If you're not deep enough, seeing a flop is tough because almost every flop's going to have 3 overcards to it. You could go ahead and be aggressive with it and raise. The problem with the raising is if your opponent moves all in, he may do that with ace-king and ace-queen. And if you fold, you're making a grave mistake from a mathematical perspective. So with his stack, I'd say that they're probably not deep enough because Vela's down to 22 blinds. But
Yeah.
looks like he is going to call. And the problem with calling as well is you bring in the big blind. And Josephy's not going anywhere with ace-jack. Question is he going to re-raise or just call? So you could make a very good case here to go ahead and raise because Vela only has 22 blinds, right? Joseph, he's relatively small too. He's got a little bit more. This might be the spot that he looks at and says, okay, all of it, boys. And you couldn't blame him for that. It wouldn't be a mistake. You got to assume the small blind, Opalikin, is pretty much never going to call. If he had a really strong hand, he'd re-raise. Yep, an all-in from Josephy.
So he shoves.
And Vela acting now because he's never calling
How much,
here.
Cliff? Approximately?
Oh
How much?
boy,
Here we go. Here we go.
2-2?
I'm gonna go on tilt. This drives me nuts. How much? What do you care how much? Too much. How about that? Okay.
Wish I could blow my thumb, make my hat go up.
Was that one of his jokes? Okay. That was like a recurring one?
First time we've heard that one. But
Alright.
all the others are on the
Shade on it.
kind of same level.
Okay.
Fresh material for the final day.
Yeah. Alright. So this is acting. He's trying to get in
Really
Goodfellas
hurt,
too.
it really hurt.
See, I don't see a lot of value in this acting to try to represent like you had a better hand than you do. Like everyone knows, okay, listen, we've played poker long enough, we know that sometimes you steal. It's fine to just fold and
Quite
you
sure I
know,
know what you have. Yeah.
it's not embarrassing, it's
Just
just
behind me.
yeah.
I'm all by myself, I probably call.
Yeah, right. Okay, likely story.
In 50 minutes time, Cliff's going to see this hand and be like, yeah, right.
So now you never really want to call an all-in with a small pair, and that's the situation that Opalikin's found himself. He's like, I probably have the best hand here. It's very likely that threes are ahead. However, my best case scenario is I'm flipping. Worst case, I'm 4.5 to 1 underdog. So he's getting a decent price, but it's a lot of chips. Does he want to risk it with 2 threes? I think he feels like he's got the best hand. And again, as I said, most of the time in the situation, threes will be ahead, but marginally so. And the times when the threes are not ahead, you are cooked. Good fold. Despite the, it's like easy to say, you look, it's a good fold, even though he had the best hand. Yeah, yes, he was. Come on.
So Cliff Josephine moves over the 30 big blind mark.
Everybody's lying.
I can't believe this. I thought poker was an honest game.
These guys know in 30 minutes everyone's going to know they were lying, right?
Terrible call.
Charles Cornuth on the rail. Finished third here in 2015, winning himself more than $640,000. Last year we saw him finish second in the high roller in Dublin.
Like that Eddie Murphy joke.
Yeah, Chance, another good player, has a unique style. He's a little bit of throwback in terms of, looking for reads and stuff. A lot of the young guys focus on the math and the nuances of the fundamentals and game theory. Chance is a little bit of a throwback in the sense that he likes to, get a read on his opponent and go with that and use that as an advantage. And, he does a good job of it, obviously.
So this event is winding down now, Daniel. Are you done, or is there more poker to be played before you leave the Bahamas?
I'm feeling good. I just feel like playing poker. Frankly, but when if I'm alone and sitting in a room, I think my mind will just race on my little pup.
Sure.
So being at the poker table is a great distraction for me, and I plan on playing the turbo, or the 10K turbo, which I'm, not accustomed to. I don't play a lot of turbos, but I'm gonna give it a shot. 6-max turbo. I feel good. I'm playing well, so finish on a high note.
Finish with a win.
Yeah, exactly. Win those races.
It's funny, that kid who knocked you out of the main event, the guy who cracked your ace-king with ace-6, he became our spin-and-go killer, because this qualifier just kept knocking people out left, right, and centre. But sadly, did not make it to the late stages of this tournament. We had a few of the spin-and-go guys who made the money.
Yeah, that's great. I think spin and goes are in those types of formats for getting people into these main events is really beneficial. I think we had over 130 players.
Yeah.
Some of these players got in for as little as $10, and many of them have never played a live event. I did a Q&A the morning before and kind of tried to prep these guys, get them mentally prepared, and it's exciting, and that's what poker should be all about. Like these dream-making opportunities for people who can turn $10 into $500,000 or $1 million.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's almost like a flashback, and we spoke about this before, as Cliff Josephine improves the trips on the river that is not going to get paid off. Back in the day, when you used to have online qualifiers, I'm thinking like 2005, 2006, like at the World Series, for example, they would have like tutorials to show people how to handle their chips and how to play a live tournament. And we kind of stopped doing that over the years because it became the fact that every single online qualifier was actually a very proficient player. And now, with the spin and go promotions, we are getting people, as you say, Danny, who have never played a live poker tournament before, coming to these major events, these 5K buy-ins.
And you know what? Spin and goes, they're meant to be fun, right? They're fast-paced. They take like 10 minutes. They're for the recreational player. It's not necessarily something that, top pros are going to grind and try to make a living out, which they may do in cash games or tournaments. But it's a great addition to the poker community because it brings people in such a way where, like, hey, listen, I've got 10 minutes. I want to play. A lot of guys, we have amazing tournaments every Sunday, right? This huge, and of course, during the W Coop and Scoop, but this is for serious players, right? Because these tournaments take 12 hours, sometimes 2-day events. A lot of people that have 10-15 minutes to kill, and they'll do that with a spin and go or beat the clock or KO poker, some of the more fun innovations. And I think that just makes a lot of sense going forward to bring in new people that are not necessarily wanting to play 15 hours a day.
Absolutely. Of course, if you have got time on your hands, you can try and win our $1 million card hunt contest. Fire up the challenge, complete your puzzle, win a hand with the Queen of Clubs. Once you've done that, send the information in via Twitter, tweet the hand ID, your player ID, PokerStars win. And remember, 3 winners drawn at random are going to get $530 tickets to a PokerStars Championship Panama satellite.
She has amnesia. What are you playing?
So one of the new exciting stops on the tour is Panama.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be interesting. It's I think it's a really good location. Obviously, poker's been booming in Latin America the last 4 or 5 years, so you can expect a good local contingent. People traveling to that one. It should be a good one.
Yeah, we're all going to be down there covering the last 5 days of the main event. I think, certainly for me, it'll probably be the furthest south I've ever been in the wild.
Yeah, exciting to get some new stops.
Well, that was blind on blind, gently shoved on Vela.
That was actually quite interesting. Yeah, I mean, all in from the small blind because, of course, Vela's on a 20 blind stack. He shoves with ace 10, and Vela folds the ace 5. A little surprising from both players. I thought Gentili might want to get a little action with a raise there, but nothing wrong with moving all in. Maybe a little too deep partially, but still a good disciplined fold with ace-5. You know, if your small blind keeps going all in every hand and you keep folding ace-5, that could be a problem long term.
By the way, if you're thinking of heading down to Panama, details on the screen right now. 10th to the 20th of March is when it runs. And of course, satellites for the main event are running on PokerStars. So 25 minutes left on the level, 25 minutes till the next break, and that will mean part 2 of 3 of Poker in the Ears and Eyes.
What's that?
That is the new name of the podcast.
Oh, right, yes, Poker in the Ears and Eyes, yeah. Good one. Clever.
We can't take any credit. We let our viewers and listeners pick it.
Yeah.
Oh, free roll's firing up. Good luck, everyone.
All right, I just saw screens pop up.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
luck.
I can watch both these guys.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to give you play-by-play of
No,
what they're
please.
doing. He's like,
It wouldn't be the first time.
tutorials. You see what Matt's doing here? A huge mistake.
Well, that much is correct.
But not
already.
as bad as what I'm seeing on the right from
Oh,
what
wow.
James just called with.
Absolutely. Well, bear in mind that we've got $100 bounties on our heads, so generally it's going to be playing super, super tight and trying to get it in at a good spot. Talking of potentially getting it in here, gently opened with ace-deuce. Vela called in the small blind. Christian Harder with ace-king in the big.
So in this spot, you know, Gentili raising with ace-deuce on the button's fine. Vela calling with queen-3 of spades is a little wide, a little too wide. Of course, Christian here, chip leader, ace-king of hearts, more than happy to 3-bet it. And we're going to see a little more acting from the queen-3 of spades, it looks like.
Yeah, and if Michael already thought he was being bullied, this is where you love it, because when Christian's got it, you think at some point Michael's going to do something really, really bonkers.
They show
He's
the
just
cards
going
if we don't see a flop.
to have enough.
Anybody know?
You know, a hand like queen-3 of spades here, I can see sometimes, you know, turning it into a bluff where you 3-bet, but the value of the hand is just not good enough to call from the small blind against, you know, a big blind who's the chip leader and probably going to call, and the button, which we don't know what he has. I would say minimum you could have to call here would be like a queen-9 suited. You know, queen-8, queen-7 and lower. If you want to play it, you know, and there's some merit to it, go ahead and 3-bet it. Try to win it pre-flop.
Give me some guidance. What would you like him to do?
Don't think he's likely to
Tell
help
me.
you.
I followed direction very well.
Yeah, Christian not looking like he's in the talkative mood here.
Next time I put chips in the pot, I'm putting them all in. Did you say all in? Just next time I put chips in the pot, I'm putting you all in.
So, you know, that's an interesting thing. It's like, you're talking, if you actually say the words all in, but within a sentence, that doesn't count,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, I'm thinking about going all in. Well, you just said all in. Does that count?
All right.
No.
It's the last time.
I'm sure it isn't
Big
the last
damn
time.
bully. I thought we were even.
The last time was the last time.
Now you have to have one up. See? All right, now you're one up. Freaking brute.
This is great. You guys are multitasking now.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
What a fold from James Hardigan.
You want
Wow.
to see us when we're stuck in a Zoom tournament. That's when we really have to. At least here you get a kind of a minute to think in between.
Yeah.
As we see, it's 210,000 down from the start of the day for Michael Vela, now just sitting on 19 big blinds. Gives Josephy somewhat clear of the problems he was in. 34 big blinds for him, but the price of poker's going up in 22 minutes.
How about that?
I've seen Cliff Josephine move up nicely. When I sat down in the booth, he had about 20 big blinds. He's up to 34. Gotta feel comfortable, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be lovely.
And of course, Cliff said he came in as 6th out of 6 players. No expectations. He's already landed up once and could potentially ladder up again. Michael Vela now the player at immediate risk with fewer than 20 big blinds. Christian Harder raising small to big with King 10 of spades. Alexi Oblique has 7 deuce and lets it go.
Easy game.
Christian Harder, by the way, playing 8.5 million. More than 100 big blinds.
Really good situation. You know, normally, you know, it'd be easy to apply a lot of pressure, but we've seen Vela, even though he's got the short stack, willing to play a lot of hands, so he's not exactly easy to get off hands, but still, I think that Harder can continue to just chip away, throw a lot of jabs, continue to climb without taking any big risks. That's the ideal. He's, you know, him and arguably Cliff Josephine, the most experienced players at the table, and when you typically are one of the better, more experienced players, you want to avoid, you know, risky conflict as much as possible, whereas if you're not, you're one of the more experienced players, you want to increase the amount of luck. So if I were Vela right now, I'd be like, let's get it in. Shippity, shippity, shippity.
Pocket jacks for Christian Harder.
He's on a heater. Yeah, it's a good spot. You know, eventually people are going to start thinking, listen, this guy's raising every hand. He can't always have it, so they might make a move with a weaker hand. Like this one. ace-5 offsuit in the small blind. You know, the tough spot that Opelican is in is that he's second in chips by a wide margin. So does he really want to get involved with the one guy that can bust him? You know, from a financial perspective, you're looking at second place paying, what, $350,000 versus 140. So you're talking about a couple $100,000 you're putting on the line when you tangle with Christian Harder. So I really don't like this. Just gotta say, I really don't like flatting out of the small blind with ace-5 offsuit. This hand plays very poorly post-flop. You flop an ace, you're gonna lose big pots, win small ones. Turn this into a bluff. I'd rather have a hand like 10-9 than ace-5. Okay, so he's... Oh, this is trouble.
Another set for Christian Harder.
Wow, but this time Opelican's got a pretty good chunk of that flop. With the jack 5-3, he's only worried about, you know, a jack or some sort of pair that's higher than 5s, which is rare. All right, we got Christian checking back now, letting him catch up a little bit. King on the turn. Don't be surprised to see Opelican bet here. Try to protect the 5s. It's got to feel like 5s are good, unless, of course, Christian had a hand like, you know, king 9 or something. Question is, does Christian raise now or wait till the river? And that's something that you want to think about in terms of history with your opponent. Like, what do they think I would have if I raise here? Am I balanced enough where they think there's some bluffs in here? If not, then you don't really raise the turn. So he's checked it. Christian obviously going to bet now. 250,000 or so.
Are you out of the free roll already, Matt?
Yeah. Well, I got shoved all in on by somebody with, I can't even remember, Queen 10, Jack 9, and I had my pocket 8s, and then I was winning until the river. That's I've got a t-shirt with that written on it. I'm quite happy to get that over quickly. I just can't multitask. And also, I want someone to take the bounty. Have a nice time.
So just notice the kind of spot that Opelican's put himself in with this ace-5. He has a hand that's probably too good to fold, you know, consistently in this spot. But it's also one where it's like, wow, I mean, what am I going to do? Call this bet and call a river bet with just 5s? Just, you know, Christian could have nothing here. Or he could have, you know, what he does, which is 3 jacks. It's a situation, if you're especially like getting, you know, newer to the game, you want to avoid these types of situations where they hurt your brain.
Look painful, but he let it go.
See, and again, like, if you're going to play ace-5, you flop middle pair, and you're not winning that pot, you got to just throw that hand away.
Be smart, take that shit up now, doesn't matter.
What happened to your screen, Matt? There was a poker screen on your...
Do you know what? It's do you know? I just decided.
You had a pair of 8s.
Maybe and this guy.
Let's break this hand down.
This guy Jav just, well, actually, there's no more say. This guy went all in pre-flop. This guy went all in pre-flop, and I thought, fine,
okay,
let's do this.
You guys want to leave it
And
up to me?
I was the winner on the flop. I was the winner on the turn, and then.
Well, let's talk about this hand, waster. Okay, this is a waste of chips. Pair of 8s doesn't play well 3-handed. Heads up, I get the call, but 3-handed, come on, man.
It's a free roll and there's a bounty of $100 on my head. I don't want to
You're in a
win
charitable
this
mood.
tournament. You know what?
Coming down the track.
I am more than happy to say good game, Gamescom,
I am not worried about a train.
and hand over the money.
Just give me 2 that are connected and big.
Yeah, I'm not
Stick 'em
much
in.
about optimal play during the free roll.
And then it's going to be headed right at you.
So Michael Vela in that dangerous territory now with 17 bigs. He's really almost in his territory where he's basically just got to make his decisions pre-flop, which is all in or nothing.
When you say dangerous territory, would you potentially say danger zone?
Danger zone! Yeah! Danger zone!
I can't believe it. You didn't want to sing "Everyone Loves a Chop Pot." I mean, be consistent. Like, you want to come
sing.
along for the songs.
I got all kinds of songs.
Don't encourage him.
I mean, I can do Fudge the Police without any cursing.
Oh, no, no, no.
No cursing. I can do it without
That's
any
not
cursing.
the issue. The cursing's not the issue. It's the fact that if you sing any
Never
licensed
good.
music,
Although, what's
we have to pay royalties.
Even the words? What if you sing it differently, like, you know, Snoop Dogg's rolling down the street. Rolling down the street, talking
soon,
about
these will be saxophone
sipping
first.
on gin and juice, laid back with my mind and my money and my mind. That's legal, right? That's not legal, because I didn't even use the same melody or tone, just the same words.
No, that was certainly something.
I think we're all right. I think we'll get away with that one.
You know, I don't get sued over here.
Matt, do you know what? I keep looking at the screen. All I see is Christian Harder wins. Christian Harder wins. I mean, it's over 9 million now.
Yeah, 113 big blinds. Meanwhile, as Daniel observed, Michael Vela hovering around the 15 big blind mark.
Here it is. Question is, how does he play this, right? So I would suggest, if you're in this spot and you're watching at home, go all in with the 6s, okay? This is not the kind of hand you want to min raise with and then see a flop, because, you know, you're going to let the big blind in with Queen 9, Queen 8. What the? What the?
Fudge?
Yeah. fudge that hand. What just happened there? That
I mean, the
huge
nearest
mistake.
opponent to him is
I
like
think I'm
32
sure that
big
one
blinds.
got
Is he
fold.
thinking he's going to ladder up sometime in the next 12 minutes?
I mean, calling with the queen three. This is not. I don't know what just happened, Michael. Someone needs to
Trying to shake you up.
get him back on track here.
Wow.
The boost coming up.
I thought he was just going to kill a bit of time and then shove. I'd never in a million years thought he would.
Yeah, that's shocking. You know, there's some cases where you want to fold some good hands when you're using what's called ICM, which stands for independent chip model, where you're waiting for another guy who's shorter to go broke. But he is the shortest guy by a good margin.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be a factor at all. Just it's clearly a brain fart there. Christian putting up the white flag here, saying, listen, I don't need to win every single pot. I'm not going to try to. It's important. You don't want to be a bull that's so... Oh, never mind. Now he tries to steal it. It's like, never mind. I'll take it.
And obviously we only know that Upper Leakin has A3. Could have two of them. Other one could be an ace, maybe.
He did fold the fives earlier. This time it looks like he's going to make the call.
Yeah, you only need the 1-3. What was the other card? Jack.
Nice call.
Okay, Daniel, I know you've got to get ready for the 10K
do.
event you're playing at 4 o'clock. Thank you so much for dropping by and spending some time with us in the booth. Always really appreciate your analysis, and I know the audience does.
Appreciate it, guys, and good raise with this hand here in the free roll. Good job. We know who the player is in this family.
Unbelievable. Can't believe it. On the air from Danny Negrona. Unbelievable life I live.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, Daniel.
So still 5 players remaining. It feels like an eternity since we lost Rasmus Glacial. 10 minutes left on the level. Christian Harder leads by a significant margin. Michael Vella, the player at risk.
All right, I'm on.
Well, he didn't like the sixes. What does he like? It's queen. I think I'd rather have been the guy that got it in with just the blinds to go with pocket sixes, but
If I got to give it to somebody, I want it to be you. Not going to be me.
confirmation of the
Yeah,
fold.
could have won 2 in a row. We can wimp on the first one.
Well, he seems to know.
Hey, anybody paying attention? I read the pot. Come on, somebody cheer.
Yay!
Yay! Ooh, yeah.
Holla!
You better go get an oxygen mask, 'cause you're going to hear that a lot in the next 15 minutes.
Now, assuming that we get to level 29, with all 5 players returning from the break, for the first time in, wow, I'm going to say day and a half, we will finally be at a point where the average stack in the main event is fewer than 50 big blinds. Blinds will be up to 50,000, 100,000. Of course, during the break, we will have episode 2 of Poker in the Ears. It's the VR experience, Matt.
Oh, I love this so much. I can officially tell you, viewers, that this is my most favourite moment ever in the podcasts that have ever been made. There are a few things I like more than watching James Hartigan dance around. If only we could do karaoke for you, we would, but this is the next best thing. Hashtag last one.
So Christian Harder has opened Queen 10 from the cutoff. Alexei Oblikin has Ace Jack on the button, considering his options. These guys are the 2 biggest stacks.
It feels a bit like we need a graphic that just shows Christian Harder's progress over the last orbit. How much is just that green arrow just up and up and up. This one's going to be harder.
Oblikin has 3 bet to 445k. Wow, great tweet from Toby Reese. New setup in the lounge is a poker dream with my new projector. And what is he projecting onto the screen? PokerStars TV.
Man, that is a sweet setup. And I'm actually even more jealous because there appears to be pizza in the
I
house.
think I need some white chips. Oh, gosh. What I need is a 20 of them. That's what I need. Ready? Excellent. I like being the big blind.
I find
I'm gonna
that
walk,
very
guys.
hard to believe. I think he might be losing his mind. It's getting a bit Rain Man out there. Excellent driver.
buddies text me asking if everybody's got a voice box on this table. They say you look like Harry Potter, Mike.
You didn't even text me.
Yeah.
Single text message.
I told him he's a gentleman
What are you playing?
and a fine 1-6.
Colin?
One of these times I'm gonna have a hand when you do that.
Well, you do,
Might be
king
this time.
10.
Oh, it's almost this time.
No, I think it is.
I mean, he would be
Next time
behind,
I have
but
that hand call.
What was it?
King 10.
Behind?
Huh?
You're behind.
Yeah.
it's a little bit like
I'm good
classic
from behind.
panic play where you just are more willing to let yourself be blinded away than get it in with anything less than premium. And of course, you wait for a premium hand,
I'm not even gonna further that conversation. I'm leaving that one right alone.
you might not get any customers.
It's just too easy. All I can do is get myself in trouble if I keep going down that road.
I wonder if because of this
Nothing but
situation,
trouble after that.
I
Next
wonder if
street.
Michael could see the hand as he flipped it around and played with it, whether he could see what was being folded.
Yep. Next time that spot, Michael, I am calling King 10. Just so you know. I'll race.
King Queen or King 10?
King 10. That's this guy.
I don't think we're going to see Cliff do anything as crazy as fold with the sevens.
Interesting situation here.
Ooh,
And gently folds the small pocket pair to Cliff Joseph. He's open.
I mean, I'm guessing they're just sensing that Michael Vella's losing his marbles. And can just ladder up by keeping out of the way until he explodes.
Well, Christian Harders can defend his big blind with
You
Queen
want
10
that
of
other one
clubs.
back in the stack?
Josephine now a 3-1 favourite with his overpair to the board.
Nah, not surprised to see Christian get out of the way with that. No good. He can afford it. He has got 8.5 million chips.
More than 100 big blinds.
It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to see Cliff go into the break ahead of his nearest opponent, ahead of him, Michael Gentili. 2.87 playing against 2.71 for Cliff. It's been a good comeback considering he spent a lot of time sitting on the 13 big blind marker. He said he had no expectations, but it's been a good level for him. Now a good hand for him.
So Cliff opens to 180,000.
There's the woodshed around here.
Seven suited. So pretty. Gotta take a look.
Top pair for Cliff, nothing for Alexei.
That is about as bad a flop for the 6-7 as I can imagine. I mean, there's a few permutations, but it kind of looks a lot like that. Easy peasy. At least Alexei is not tanking when it comes to folding a hand that just simply didn't
Easy
get there.
game.
2 minutes to run on this level. 2 minutes until the next break, the next instalment of the podcast. And of course, for these players, a brief hiatus from the action. When they come back, those blinds going up. 50,000, 100,000.
Yeah, do feel free
Easy
to
breezy.
get in any queries about how many blinds players have. Joe Stapleton will be back in the booth, and he's always happy to take those kind of questions when we're in one of the easy levels. His math becomes almost just immediate. Folding, folding, folding. And he's just gonna take this. Got the button. Jack 4 ain't that pretty. Dominates tonight. Another one for Christian Harder. 8.65 million and a minute on the clock.
So one more hand this level. I guess Michael Vella's going to make it to the next level.
That's not a good thing when you've got a stack that right now is worth 16 big blinds, and then just through the passage of time shrinks.
To 13.
Yeah. How did you work that out so quickly? You were channeling Joe, weren't you?
A calculation on my smartphone, come
Oh,
on.
okay, all right, okay.
Pocket tens. I don't think this is going to get checked back.
No, too dangerous to check back. Unlikely to ask. Do you want to play the small blind? Not really. Do you want to play 3-4? Not really.
As you said, Matt, this has been a pretty good level for Cliff Josephy. Up to 35 big blinds. And I imagine him folding here and is going on break.
Gonna give us a bit of Michael Vella time. Maybe he's got some plan in mind. He has got a plan in mind.
Oh, bad timing, considering Gently's holding. This raise is legit.
Oh, you're okay. He finally found the force.
No idea.
So Michael Gently and Cliff Josephy are pretty much tied at around the 2.9, 2.8 million mark. Michael Vella, 13 big blinds. Christian Harder, still the chip leader. So our live action continues in 18 minutes' time.